Mics are hot. You're live.
All right. Good evening, everyone. This is the March 12, 2025 meeting of the Auburn Conservation Commission. This meeting is being operated as a hybrid format under Chapter 22 of the Acts of 2022. The public can join the meeting remotely by dialing on your telephone 408-650-3123 and then using access code 942-845-549. Or you can join via computer at global.gotomeeting.com/join/942-845-549. So materials for tonight's meeting have been provided to the commissioners and they're available on our website. And the public is encouraged to follow along using the posted agenda. Before we begin, I have to ask if anyone in the audience is recording our meeting. Okay, everyone is shaking their heads no. My name is Michael Garland, I'm chairman of the commission. And before we start, let me just confirm who is in attendance today. So when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Megan Langley.
Here.
Michelle Kolos.
Here.
Chris Carey.
Here.
Mark Sclermo.
Here.
Ricky Arizmi.
Here.
All right. And Tom Fallon.
Here.
All right. So if anyone is going to be testifying tonight, we need you to sign the sign-up sheet that Tom has and also provide us with your address. So without further ado, the first item on our agenda is a 7 p.m. public hearing. Triton Storage LLC have requested determination of applicability. It's my understanding that due to an advertising issue, that matter is going to be continued to our next meeting on March 26th. Is that right, Tom?
I'm sorry, through the chair, what was the first one that you mentioned?
Triton Storage LLC.
Yes, that's correct.
319 Washington Street.
Through the chair, I do have an updated list
Okay.
on the top of the package.
I do see that.
Okay.
I just feel the need to just
Sure.
let people know.
Okay.
So. And our next public hearing is at 7:05. So before we have the 7:05 public hearing, we had received a request for a certificate of compliance for 26 Southbridge Street and also 65 School Street. I had an opportunity to go to both properties. 65 School Street is a single-family home. Currently, it looks like it's being sold. There was a for sale sign out front. I checked out the property. I believe that, in fact, the order of conditions that was issued was quite some time ago. So I think whatever had to be done was done and was done appropriately. With respect to 26 Southbridge Street, which is Polar Beverages, I again made an inspection. Everything seemed to be in order in connection with what was provided to us. So without further ado, is there a motion to issue a certificate of compliance for 26 Southbridge Street?
I move to issue a certificate of compliance for 26 Southbridge Street.
Is there a second?
I second.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's a vote. And for 65 School Street, is there a motion?
I make a motion to issue a certificate of compliance for 65 School Street.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's a vote. Okay. We still have 2 minutes. All right. Do we have minutes, Tom?
We do, but before I do that, I'd like to pass these around and have you guys sign these at Fresh Ink, so I can just do them in the morning and not have to go through all the electronic process.
Sure.
Let me sign on the right line this time, so I don't have to swear.
Thank you.
Now, I only have this one, which says 7.
Just the one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the newest one, that's the one
Okay.
this afternoon, because we had a couple with changes in the next meeting.
Gotcha.
but we'll have more discussions.
So I was waiting for 7:05.
It being 7:05, the next matter on our agenda is J. Jill Development LLC requested a determination of applicability for 24 Central Street. Is there a motion to open?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed to vote. So I had an opportunity to walk the site with the gentleman from J. Jill a couple Saturdays ago. I saw there was no evidence of any wetlands. Certainly from time to time there may be runoff due to storm conditions, but there's no active wetland in the area. And so, based on my review, I think, well, it didn't appear to me that there was anything that would trigger jurisdiction for the commission. Any questions? Anything from the audience? Okay.
Can
There,
we just, sorry, can we just so just to refresh my memory, I do remember there were residents here talking about concerns of it being wet around, but there were no mapped wetlands anywhere that would potentially be in a 100-foot.
correct.
Okay.
No indicia, no wetland plants, no active wetland system, drainage swales, nothing that would give an indication of any wetland activity. So, if there are no questions from the audience, is there a motion to close?
I move to close.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed to vote. And is there a motion?
I move to do a negative determination of applicability to
For 24 Central Street?
24 Central Street.
Is there a second?
I second.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? It's a vote. All right.
They have these board members sign this. This is the negative determination. Can I have the other copy of the also?
The next on our agenda, well, or was supposed to be on our agenda, was Inside Engineering and Notice of Intent for 47 Rockland Road. I'm advised that we are awaiting comments from the town engineer regarding, there's some issues with regard to the gravel road that leads into the site that's adjacent to the brook. And so it was agreed that the hearing, or the continued hearing in this matter, would be continued to March 26th. Is that correct, Tom?
Yes, I did include an email from Emma Johnny that she would be issuing the comments, and the applicant representative suggested come to the next meeting
Okay, very good.
so that we can address some issues.
Okay.
So, I'm sorry, just to clarify, so
The
these are her comments?
No, well,
Yeah.
those are like a basis, but she actually has 30 days, which would be next Wednesday,
Okay.
within to comment, and then they're going to look at those comments and address them on the plans. We'll likely get revised plans at the next meeting.
Okay. Sir, can I help you with anything?
Just listening.
Okay, very good.
I was here for number 2, but I guess it's been canceled.
Are you here for Rockland Road, sir?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so what happened was they continued the hearing because the Auburn DPW has comments from their most recent plans at the last meeting. They brought to the meeting, they were supposed to bring them in early, but unfortunately they brought them that evening. And they weren't addressed with the town, so they kind of put the cart before the horse. So what they're going to do is they're going to receive the comments on Monday, and at the next meeting, they're going to give revised plans of what they're doing on the site there. The issue was the last meeting was a discussion about paving the road. It was going to be a gravel road. So I guess once they have those comments, they're going to revise their plans and come before the board the next meeting.
On the description of number 2, on your sheet for tonight, on the description, it says parcel number 177. Only. Just parcel 177. Doesn't say anything about parcel 224.
Is that, it's 47 and 49 Rockland Road, correct, sir?
Well, it says it right here, on your paper right here. It says the meeting is map 17, parcel 177.
Okay, yeah.
Okay? Sure. Doesn't say 224. It says 177. There are 2 parcels there.
Yeah, this should be 47 and 49.
Well,
They only have one parcel on it. That's likely a typo, but the idea is they have to have 47 and 49 spelled out.
Right, so this is incorrect.
Okay? So it's a typo, but I mean,
So if I was here for 224, if I was only here for 224, I wouldn't have come tonight because it says 177 on that sheet. So I would have been misled.
yeah, are you in a butter, sir?
I am.
Okay.
So I'm not getting the correct information to come to meetings.
Okay, well, you have to understand now, with the application, okay, the applicant came to this board on an enforcement order last April, and came in from the board, got an enforcement order, they had to do some remediation, they've done some work with electrician, and then they came in front of the board, they got permission from this board to fix the road because it was a hazard to the fire department apparatus to get to the building if there was a fire. So they were given permission by this board to do so, and once that permission was granted, they were allowed to put in stabilization measures, what they have to do as part of the enforcement order. And as you probably know, the grass hasn't been established, it's winter time, but this board is very well aware of what's going on there. There's still a lot of considerations because it's right next to Kettlebrook, it's a major concern, that's what this board is for. We're here to protect the resources, the water, the habitat, and any open space, and that's what this board is under the purview of this board.
I understand. I'm on your side.
Oh, sure.
I'm on your side.
Okay.
And I'm interested because that Kettle Brook,
Is 20, probably 22 feet at some points from the gravel road. It's very close proximity to the gravel
yes,
road.
and someone surveyed that area just recently because there were stakes there.
Sure.
But, so I'm on the other side of the brook.
Okay.
So that's why I'm here, because I
Sure.
don't want anything to happen to change the course of that brook.
Oh, of course not. No, it's like they can't, they're very limited on what they can do to exit that brook. But one thing that they are going to do is they're going to pave that road because in the event they have a major flood event, like a 50 or 100-year storm, all that gravel will end up in that brook, no doubt, and that, you can't have that. So by allowing them and telling them that they need to put the gravel road in, pave the road,
Right.
it's going to make that condition safer. And they're also going to have to deal with the stormwater, because now that it's an impervious surface, any of that water that comes off of there is going to have to be contained. And whoever they have for their stormwater engineer, the town is also going to hire a third-party peer review consultant at the applicant's expense to make sure that everything's copacetic before any work's done.
In 2 weeks' time, we have a meeting again.
Mhm.
You'd have graphs up on the boards there showing the Kettle Brook, and you'd show the road, the potential road there.
Right, I mean, this project is by no means close to complete. They still have, significant amount of planning and survey work, and I'm glad you're here, sir. But like I said, as far as that goes, it's likely a typo, but it was scheduled to be 47 and 49 Rockland Road this evening, and they decided to continue because they haven't received the comments yet.
Well, I just think that should be corrected. So
Sure, oh,
it's-
absolutely. Yeah, I'll make a note of that right now, sure.
Okay, so just one more thing.
Sure.
So There's also a second brook up on top on 177 on that lot.
Okay.
There's a second brook.
That's at the bottom of the slope, sir. Is that the one you're?
Are you talking about the one on the other side of the road where it comes in and ends? Which is on, I believe it's on one of their maps that they brought at the last meeting.
It's not on their map, it's on the
Okay.
town map,
Okay.
right? And so.
Could you point that out to me? The reason why I'm asking.
Well,
is 'cause
Tom,
we don't want-
Tom,
Yeah.
Tom,
Yeah.
Can't do
this
it.
Matt, there's no hearing tonight, so
Yeah,
um,
there's
I would
nothing
just,
tonight, so.
I would, so obviously you have noticed that we're going to have a hearing on March 26th. To the extent,
Unfortunately, I have a surgery on the 24th.
okay,
So I can't be here.
well, our meetings are televised, sir. If you can watch it from the comfort of your home, hoping that you'll be back home after your surgery. And, but to Tom's point, this has been, the town engineer is involved in the review of this project. The reason why the hearing was continued tonight is that she is actually providing them, or has to provide them with additional comments that relate specifically to the gravel road and also the impact it will have on Kettle Brook. So my sense is that this matter will not be finished on March 26th. I think we're going to have subsequent hearings after that. So I would just, thank you for coming out. And I suspect, again, this is not going to be resolved on March 26th. I think it will continue for some time after that.
Okay, no problem. I'm on your side. I'm not trying to.
No, it's
No,
fine.
But I'm concerned just about the brook.
Sure.
And
We
sir,
are
so are
too.
we. That's
Yeah,
our
we are
job.
too.
And there's a brook up on, where they turn to go park the trucks.
Mm-hmm.
There's a brook up there too. And I don't remember seeing that brook. I think someone backfilled that brook, but I could be wrong.
Do you know when that happened?
No, I don't.
Okay. All right.
But there's also a paper road there in front of the building, which goes from Brook Road to Witter Road. And it's on your charts downstairs.
Okay.
And there's a paper road there. And that's gonna be considered.
I understand, sir.
That's maybe not conservation, but.
It may not be, but it's something that might have the interest of the planning board, for example, so. But in any event, we'll be
Brook Road
meeting,
to Witter.
we'll be dealing with this in 2 more weeks.
I'm only here just for
Okay.
seeing who's here.
Okay,
Alright.
all right.
Maybe we'll see you again.
Well, I hope so, sir. Good luck with your surgery.
Yes. We should look at that.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Good evening.
Take care.
Okay.
Okay. With respect to 707 Osford Street South, this came before us back in 2019. It was a very, very narrow lot, and my understanding is that the applicant never, we issued an order of conditions, although subject to, the footprint for the building was very, very narrow. And in fact, we had concerns about the ability of the applicant to actually put in a building there.
Yeah,
You remember?
yeah,
And
because
so-
they made me feel like I was a dum-dum, remember?
I'd
I
like to speak, I'd like to speak on this through the chair.
Please.
Okay, so what we have here is a letter back in early February 2019. Mr. Johnson, the Auburn Conservation Commission voted unanimously on February 13th to deny the issuance of an order of conditions on the above property. The decision was determined due to the fact you indicated that you plan on selling the property and have designated on the plan the size and location of a proposed single-family dwelling. The opinion of the commission is the applicant should submit a new plan without any structures, so the commission can determine if the property in its current state complies with the Auburn wetland regulations and bylaws. We did issue an order of conditions. I could not find a copy of a plan that does not have a house on it. which is interesting.
Which means that he never submitted a plan.
And the plans that we have, every one of them clearly states on the plan, required waiver of the 25-foot no-build zone by conservation. The two different plans I had, different revisions, they're showing the house on there, and it shows that in print. So it was never given permission. I have copies of the order of conditions that were issued.
Right.
Number
I thought
14 was
so.
never mentioned, wasn't circled on the sheet. So my feeling would be that a plan with the house on it was never submitted. Yes.
Or at least a plan without a house was never submitted.
That's what I mean, a
Yeah.
plan without a house was never submitted.
Right. And
Because
so,
no permission was ever
one
granted.
second. So what happened, of course, is that nothing happened there, and then Mr. Johnson sold it to Valdette Manfron, who we believe is the significant other of Mr. Joe Goodman,
Certainly.
back in 2021. So,
So,
Okay, let me, I'm gonna tell you how I remember it.
okay,
Because I wasn't going to let that go through. And
Right.
Mr. Johnson said, I only bought this property as a retirement.
sure,
And
exactly.
so
what you said.
I won't be able to sell it without showing that a lot, like a house can be built on it.
Correct.
And this is the house that can be put on it.
Mhm.
And I said, well, how do we know that nobody's gonna just go and put a house on this? And the guy that was here for Mr. Johnson said, well, because you're the board, and we won't be able to put anything on that lot without coming before the board, before we can
Correct.
put anything on this lot.
That was
And
Mr. Jason
he-
Du Bois, who is now the applicant, Joe Goodman of Alfred's.
Yeah.
But guess what? He did a foundation, he did it with a different company, with a different engineer, whatever he did. And I'm gonna go further through the chair and explain when you're done with your
Yeah,
comments.
yeah,
well, so I
that
have-
is my comment.
I have a question. How could he put a foundation without getting a building permit?
He did get a building permit, that's what's really interesting. So when Caleb Moody was the commissioner,
Uh-huh.
and Gary Allard was the town inspector, he applied and got a foundation permit. Now, on his tax card, I have the permit information on here, and he's got, in 5/22/23, he had inspection for new construction, which was a foundation only. But there are comments on here, under topo, classified as 132, no Concom approval on file. I don't know what the date of that is, that's on this record. Another one, on 4/22/24, which was last year, there's a note that says recheck June 2025 for any building activity. So he was allowed to put that foundation in, and from what Mr. Allen told me, he was told, you know, you do need to file, you're gonna need to file with conservation, that's awfully close to the water. How do you propose you're gonna put, how are you gonna put hay bale, silt fence, erosion control when you hardly have any room and the water's there? And I did take some pictures, I don't have them with me because I've been doing a million other things.
That's fine.
Not only did they not get permission to put this foundation in for this home, but he also never had us, which is spelled out in the order of conditions, to go and inspect any erosion control measures before any work was done. So that being said, the permit was issued on December 1st, 2022, and as a date of this, when I got an application for a notice of intent, it was 825 days had passed. At $600 a day, if a fine for $300 a day were implemented, that would be $495,000,
Okay. Yeah.
which obviously, that's going by $300 a day to, but what I'm saying is, the work was done, didn't get any permission from Concom, and the notice of intent that we have,
Well, what's interesting is that, especially since Mr. Du Bois apparently represented Mr. Johnson is now representing Mr. Goodman,
right,
they can't claim that they had no knowledge.
no. And-
So-
And on his current notice of intent, which we're going to consider at the next meeting, after this enforcement order is figured out, it states in his notice of intent that an existing foundation, this is how it's worded, an existing foundation is in place, and they were looking for a waiver, but they were looking to do work for the septic tank and the leach field, which are on the other side of the home, on the roadside, you know, on the other side of the building.
Yes.
But no permission was ever given to put the original foundation, which is a
Right.
major problem.
I
That's why they
understand.
received the enforcement order.
Yeah. So anyway, based on those facts, we issued an enforcement order last week. I had asked the commission to basically ratify the order that was issued or sent out. So is there a motion?
I enforced the enforcement order. I say we ratify the enforcement order.
Okay.
Sorry.
That's fine. Is there a second?
I second.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I'm
It's a
gonna
vote.
have this.
I just want to make, just to clarify, so what was it that we approved in the order of condition?
I don't think we approved
We
anything.
did not approve a house. I believe we approved that there was an existing septic and there was an existing well, but we didn't know the conditions. But we gave them an order of conditions for what was already there, not for a building. And I do not
So-
have a file.
To be able to, we gave them, if I remember correctly, it was that he could sell the land, that there was going to be a possibility of a house that could maybe go there someday.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
So this basically applies to like the existing conditions?
What was there, correct? Before
Right.
there was any house or anything.
Okay.
That maybe
And if
someday,
you notice in that special order,
Sign.
it says any erosion control measures that are installed would be inspected by the Conservation Commission before any work is done.
So, and not only that, but I think you told me, Tom, that the foundation is what, within 25 feet?
23 and a half feet away,
Right.
yeah, measured from a flag.
Right.
Which is what's shown on this plan that has a house on it.
So anyway, it'll be interesting to see what they have to say on March 26th. Okay. We have some other matters to attend to. Let's see, what else do we have?
and I'll actually be here for that one too.
Outstanding.
Yay us,
Outstanding.
yay us. In 3 days after that.
Good. Let's see what else.
Through the chair, I do have a couple of discussion items that are probably on the same as the
Okay,
agenda I sent out, and I can kind of go through them probably in the same order if I'm let out of order.
sure, go ahead.
I apologize.
No, that's all right.
So Auburn DPW, they have an order of conditions for Camp Gleason when they did the building work a few years back.
Right.
Now, the state actually I gave a copy. This is that, it's called what is it called? The Leeds Act that allows an automatic extension of 2 years. So any permit up through January 2025 is automatically getting an extension of order of conditions to any board in the city of Town of Mass for an additional 2 years. So I received a call from Greg Roto, town engineer, asking about, they were looking to do a trench from the building to, I guess it's a bathhouse, it's a smaller building they constructed. It's kind of near the parking area, like kind of, if you're looking at Camp Gleason, you'd be going to the north away from the highway. And it's basically just to be able to put in like, I believe it's some power and maybe a drain pipe leading to the building. So what he wanted to know is, they wanted to know if they needed to like file like an amendment to the order of conditions, or if what was already issued would stand. And I think that what was already issued, I don't have the copy of it here, but it basically allowed them to do all the work they needed to do on the building and the exterior work, and they had to put in erosion control measures, put it in place, all the usual stuff that we have for any work.
Did he say when they're going to start?
He did not. He just wanted me to bring it to the attention of the meeting and see what the board, how the board felt about it in a discussion.
I mean,
He was planning on putting erosion controls from the building all the way to the bathhouse and a little bit past it on the side that's between the building and the water.
I think what I would do is I would, they have had this standing order. I would just ask that once the erosion control measures are in place, them to notify us, we can just take a look.
Okay, sure.
And can someone put that in the form of a motion? Please.
I make a motion to request that Auburn DPW, in regards to the trench at Camp Gleason, notify us once erosion control measures have been installed. Is that correct?
Sounds good to me. Is there a second?
A second.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed to vote. Okay.
Do we have to approve the extension, or do we just go with it?
No,
It's
it's
Just
by-
go
it's
with
by
it?
martial law.
It's automatic, okay, sorry.
So we did receive something on March 4th from National Grid about doing some footer repairs on like the power lines, like in all the lines that run across the different cities and towns. But before we received this on March 7th, we got a letter from Division of Fisheries and Wildlife regarding this work. And basically, because under the MESA, in the Natural Heritage Atlas, there's portions of the site that were within marked areas as priority habitat. So under the MESA rules, that they're actually going to have to do, let me find what it's called. They're going to be working proactively with the division to address several outstanding issues, including assessing alternatives to further reduce permanent and temporary impacts to state-listed species and habitats, conduct habitat assessments and surveys, develop species-specific impact calculations, and also develop stringent protection measures. So they are basically going to be handling the control of this for all the cities and towns. Anything that's on like the habitat map, they're going to make sure that everything's done correctly.
Which means that National Grid will be delayed in doing their work.
Yep.
Okay.
But it was interesting how we got that letter on February 28th, and then we received the actual notification from National Grid, 6 days later, so
Yeah,
it was a
that
good
is
heads
interesting.
up on them.
There's a note here for the Auburn Public Library footbridge.
Yes.
So, what's up with that?
This is Chapter 91 Waterways license for the footbridge that's going to be installed. It's been sitting there. Looks like it has a little rust on it, but that's just because they haven't installed it and did all the finishing touches. So that according to this letter, the license is not final until the administrative appeal period for the license has elapsed, or if such an appeal has been filed, until all proceedings before the department have been completed. So this basically gives a 21-day appeal period
Okay.
for this. The date on this, I received it from Joanna Pagan, the town engineer, was February 18th. So actually, by now, any kind of, if there is an appeal or anything, the period's basically expired.
Gotcha.
And this is just spelling out the rights of, if somebody wants to appeal, how they go about doing that in the adjunctory hearing.
And with respect to 427 Lester Street,
Somebody had called me and they were asking about doing a repair, and I suggested they come to the board tonight. I haven't heard anything back from him. He's obviously not here tonight, so
okay,
we could just file that one
Well,
and
yeah.
hear from him again.
very good. And we have meeting minutes.
We have meeting minutes, we do.
All right, so we'll take a look at those. I've reviewed the meeting minutes for February 12th. I have no corrections.
The animals and ducks at the bottom of page 1.
I'm sorry, what?
So Anne Marie on 26 Central Street claims there are wetlands.
That's the 26th. I'm talking about February 12th.
Oh, sorry, I missed that one.
Okay.
I'm on 26.
Well,
I'm skipping ahead.
Well, if you could attend to the matters at hand, please.
Okay, okay.
So does anyone have any corrections for the meeting minutes of February 12th?
Obviously, I don't.
I'd say that is pretty obvious. If no one else has any corrections, is there a motion to accept the meeting minutes of February 12th, 2025?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed to vote. All right. Now, turning our attention to the meeting minutes of February 26th. I believe, Ms. Colrush, you had some comments about the bottom of page 1.
I would just like to make a response to her comment.
Okay.
This is very Jungian, where it says anima, just so you know.
Okay.
Okay,
Thank you.
all right, okay, I'm with you.
Okay.
How can I roll with that?
So if we put this in context, this was an abutter, actually the next door neighbor, who I think was making a case or was contending there were wetlands because there were animals, not animas, and ducks.
Anima.
So I think to the extent that it is animal, that is a typo and needs to be corrected. So I want to thank you, Ms. Colross, for bringing that to our attention, because we strive at all times to be accurate.
Through the chair, I'm going to put a space between all in favor, 4-0, and 705 applicant.
Okay.
Okay.
I've reviewed the meeting minutes for February 26th. I have no other corrections. Does anyone else have any changes? If no one does, is there a motion to accept the meeting minutes of February 26th as amended?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye? Okay. It's a vote. Okay.
I
There-
have two other items real quick.
Sure, go
I have
ahead.
a copy in the packet I put out tonight of the monthly fair report for 3 Commerce Drive from Kevin Quinn of Quinn Engineering, just updating us.
Okay.
Obviously, the areas that weren't stabilized in the fall are still not stabilized, but the snow has melted and such, so like, the areas pertaining like around the road across where the building is,
Right.
it still needs to get grass established and that kind of thing.
Okay. We might want to just make an item or a note that, to go out there maybe sometime in April,
Sure.
you know, once the weather gets warm. Hey, what's the other thing you have?
Volunteer Appreciation Night is Monday, April 7th at 6 o'clock at the Auburn High School, if anybody can make it.
Yeah, they will actually, they'll feed us
They'll
if you
feed
go.
you. Not as good as at the MAC conference, though.
I understand. So for those of you that went to the MACC conference, I hope you enjoyed it. I haven't been in a few years, but it's a really good program, and they serve a wicked lunch. So
It was good. I enjoyed it. And I got this awesome salamander t-shirt.
that's
Very nice.
fantastic.
Vernal Pool Association.
Outstanding. For free, or did you have to pay for
I
it?
paid.
I looked around,
really
I
paid
didn't,
for
I didn't
it.
see anybody I knew.
Through the chair, I did buy an invasive species book
Excellent.
out of pocket. And
Well, you should be
Charlene offered to
reimbursed.
reimburse me, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not worried about it, but
You should be
I'll probably take
reimbursed.
some photocopies of some of the stuff in there to bring in, you know,
Okay.
for interesting
I
stuff.
think that's a great
That'd be
idea.
good.
Yeah,
fantastic.
but it's a great book. I mean, I was like, I'm buying this, I don't care, 'cause it's...
Yeah.
No, you should be
Awesome.
reimbursed for
Yeah,
that.
sure.
Yeah, I bought the buffer, the wetland buffer guide.
Okay.
Can I be reimbursed?
Yes. Do you have a receipt?
Maybe?
Well, no receipt?
It's not a big deal.
Is it on your credit card?
Yeah, it probably doesn't say much. Yeah. It's fine.
We don't have any tax people here, but you could probably write that off on your taxes.
Possibly.
Possibly.
Consult your accountant.
Consult your accountant.
Is there
How
any
often did they do that MACC conference?
Once
Just
a year.
once a year.
Yeah.
And the last time we went was
Always
like
on my birthday
2018, I think.
Was it that long ago?
Yeah.
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 well,
That was
they
like
couldn't make this
the
one.
first or second one at first.
Of course, you know, COVID did kind of ruin everyone's plans for a
It really
few
did.
years. Is there any new business?
I just a quick update. So at the last ZBA meeting, which was actually on February 20th, so we did meet after that, but they did shoot down the, you know, as part of the comprehensive permit for 16 Perry Place.
Uh-huh.
They were asking, one of the special waivers was a waiver from, they had it as a 50, what was it, a 50-foot vegetated wetland.
Okay.
So they resubmitted a new list, and on that list is a waiver from the 25 no-build waiver, which is a town bylaw. It's not a state by, you know, it's not a state rule.
Right.
But that doesn't necessarily mean that at the ZBA meeting coming up on the next Thursday, that they still wouldn't see that and likely take that off the table as far as denying that.
Right.
Because they are planning on coming to the board. They have to come in front of our board for the 16 Perry Place project. Because
Okay.
of the amount of wetlands and the other stuff going on there, so.
And just as a side note, Tom wrote an awesome letter, and he did a lot of research for the Athens Street project, so.
A lot of research on it, yeah.
Yay, you.
And Darlene took that and submitted that, which is great, because
Yeah.
it's all going to be on the table next Thursday, so I still have work to do as far as with this. We just got that from Adam today, that
Yeah.
they were looking for a waiver from the 25 no build,
Yeah.
and I'm going to put it to the ZBA,
Yeah.
that in the board's opinion, and if you guys want to take a vote, that no, the board does not
Yeah.
want to give them a waiver from that. They need
Well,
to
the-
bring that up at the board.
Of
Yeah,
course,
yay, you
the
on
real
that.
issue here is that what is being proposed is totally different from what we approved.
Exactly, yeah.
And so.
Completely different.
Yeah, it is.
Size and scope.
And they can't use that, as far as I'm concerned, to support their 40B application.
Right,
So-
and it's on their application, the original
Right.
order from Head Injury, something was the name of the company. It's the same developer, different name, but,
Right. Okay,
yeah.
all right.
Just for my understanding on that, like, the 40B stuff goes in front of us and we vote. But ultimately, if we don't we don't give them a waiver for the 25 foot, can they still do it anyway?
They can. What it is, it's a policy decision because Auburn's housing is less than 10%
Yeah.
of affordable housing. The whole 40B process is to sort of fast track affordable housing, and as a result, conditions that we may impose can be waived by the ZBA. So, we'll
So we're
make up.
trying to,
For bylaws, though, it's very important, only to bylaws, not to like the Wetlands Protection Act that
Right.
Right.
the board
Gotcha.
enforces, so it's the bylaws.
But as it turns out, our 25-foot no-build zone standard is a town standard. It's not contained, at least I don't believe it's
No,
contained
it's not contained in the state.
in the Wetlands Protection Act. So we can make our case, but ultimately, if the ZBA thinks it's in the best interest of the town to waive the 25-foot no-build zone requirement in order to facilitate the 40B housing application, they can do it.
so the ZBA can take they have the ability, like, they can deny, if they think that our
They
case
can-
is strong, they can,
They can impose it, but again, and then at that point, there's an appellate process, and so ultimately, and again, without knowing what the impact is or why they feel the need to waive the 25-foot no-build zone, they could take an appeal, and on appeal, they could overturn the ZBA if the ZBA decides that the 25-foot no-build zone requirement should stay in place. So, stay tuned, basically.
Mhm.
Okay, if there's no other new business, is there a motion to adjourn?
Move to close.
Move to adjourn?
Adjourn, close.
It's adjourn.
Adjourn. I
Adjourn.
move to adjourn.
Is there a second?
I second.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, it's a vote. Thank you, everyone.